In 1933, RKO Pictures produced and released King Kong. The film would become a box office success in the Great Depression era. Since then, we have gotten Son of Kong, King Kong vs. Godzilla, King Kong Escapes, King Kong in 1976, a personal favorite of mine, and that film kind of gave way for Universal to monetize off the character with film and theme parks. King Kong Lives, and lastly King Kong in 2005, directed by Peter Jackson, a film that is a remake of 1933, set in 1933, that follows an ambitious filmmaker who tricked a cast and crew to travel to the dangerous Skull Island. The same with 1976 remake. But instead of filming, the crazy rich person wanted to travel to Skull Island for oil, but found a big monkey instead. Jackson's Kong had adventure, horror, and romance between a giant gorilla and a woman, following the same line as the previous remake and original. Oh yeah, how can I forget? Kong climbed the Empire State Building in 1933 and climbed the departed World Trade Center in 1976. Peter Jackson's Kong was a masterpiece to some, and it was a box office success, but no doubt, as that film has lived on with that Kong 316 Kong Skull Island at Universal theme parks. Kong and film would lay dormant in Hollywood for several years until 2014, when Universal wanted to reboot the character, but ended up in the hands of the competition of Warner Brothers, joining this new cinematic universe with Godzilla. Released in the spring of 2007, Kong Skull Island will be the second installment in the new Monsterverse. Kong Skull Island follows the same story almost as the previous Kongs, but in its own way. Similar to the previous film, humans went on an adventure to an island. Humans are all in discovery with the island until they run into the island's inhabitants. Islands experience calm. Humans experience death. Humans run into natives. Humans look for a way off the island. In this case, the human scientists on this expedition on Skull Island, they're there because they want to find evidence of the Hollow Earth theory. And then they found this, or find evidence of it, when the humans decided to bomb the island using seismic charges. But that leads to terrible consequences for the humans. Now, a smart person would say being on that island was a terrible mistake. Being on that island, bombing it, was a greater mistake. Now, the biggest mistake made in this film was actually committed by Nick Fury himself. Now, the result of bombing that precious island was young Kong going absolute apeshit and destroying the human helicopters, which Kong had every right to do. You just don't come to someone's home and start bombing the hell out of it. What the hell's wrong with y'all? But also, I understand Colonel Preston Packard's men were ramrodded by Kong, which Packard, he wanted his vengeance for the death of his men. Now, Packard was a U.S. Army colonel who was just in the Vietnam War, in the waning days of the Vietnam War, and he was recruited by Mara to help out on the expedition. And I do say that using the theme of the Vietnam War was actually a nice touch to this film. After Kong killed his men, in Packard's mind, a new war just begun for him. His own war against the big monkey. Now, do you think Nick Fury is actually going to win this war against Kong?
Delusion!
Nope. Packard's plan is to find a downed helicopter that crashed on the other side of the island that contains more of Monarch's seismic charges and other weapons that are capable of bringing Kong down, along with, of course, Packard's right-hand man, the worst version of Dr. Doom. But anyways, for the most part of the film, Packard plays his cool until he reaches the helicopter, grabs the weapons. Packard and the rest of the surviving soldiers set up a trap for Kong and gets the wishes of Cheese Larson, who develop a caring attitude towards the monkey, and of course Loki is against this. So, You know what happens when people are against you? Well, in this case, everybody kind of breaks up and goes their separate ways. And Loki and Cheese Larson kind of love the benevolent nature of the beast, seeing that Kong is not evil, which he's not. He's just a man protecting his home. Plus, Nick Fury was opposed by John C. Reilly in this film too. So yeah, Nick Fury brings the big bunkie down, but there's one piece of information that Nick Fury did not hear. John C. Reilly, please. I forgot his character's name.
You don't want to wake up the big one.
How big is it?
Fine, but he's still growing. And you better hope he does. Because the Iwi say once Kong goes, then the big one comes up.
Yes, the Skullcrawlers, the enemies of Kong, were pretty much on the ground. Before the humans decided to bomb the hell out of the island and cause the deaths of John Goodman and the worst version of Dr. Doom and Andy Media and others. Now, with Kong incapacitated, the big Skullcrawler risen from the depths to cause hell for everyone. Lucky for the humans, Kong wakes up from being gassed by Nick Fury. But in the cause effect, Kong slams his fists on the ground, killing Nick Fury. And there goes another death of Samuel L. Jackson's characters by an animal. Roll the clips.
Rest in peace.
His character deaths never get old. I think now he has been killed by a velociraptor, a shark, and now a monkey. Well, in the end, Kong beats the big Skullcrawler with some help from the humans, and everyone goes on their merry way as Kong remains the protector of Skull Island until many, many years later. Before we go on with the show, how about you guys like, share, subscribe to Franchise History TV, even comment down in the comments down below. I'm also on Instagram at franchise_TV and on Twitter at TV_franchise. I also have two other channels if you are interested: Lone Wolf Adventure TV and Franchise 2 Sports. So yeah, subscribe to those three channels. And also like, share, subscribe on all three of them. I say subscribe 3 times. I'm done. Bye. Kong Skull Island, to me, maybe to some others, it's a mid-range film. It did receive positive reviews, and it was a vehicle to push Kong into this universe with some backstory for Kong and of course Monarch. I think the only characters from this film outside of Kong that were used later down the line was the Monarch scientist Houston Brooks, where we see an older version of himself appear in Godzilla King of Monsters, and according to the new TV show Monarch, Bill Rana name comes up a few times. Now, there was lots of inspirations that went into this film. This film seemed like it was inspired by Apocalypse Now, probably Platoon. Some say the Alien franchise. Some say the Pokemon called Cupone inspired the Skullcrawlers. And I say just a little bit of dash of Jurassic Park. Samuel L. Jackson even uses the line he uses from Jurassic Park in this film. Now, this film didn't capture the minds like Peter Jackson's King Kong did, becoming a hit. There's no romance between ape and woman. There's no Kong climbing the Empire State Building. There's no Kong coming off the island for cheap thrills. I say that's a plus because we've seen that in 1933, 76, and 2005. 3 times is a charm. We don't need to see that again. I do say King Kong 2005 was a little bit more of a horror film in a sense, with some of the deaths and how they went on, and very gruesome. This film had its moments with soldiers getting stabbed through the mouth by a giant spider, Kong eating people, smashing people, the gruesome deaths of Bill Randa and Major Chapman, plus the addition of seeing the remains of Kong's family and what happened with them. Now, in the post-credit scene, Loki and Cheese Larson are detained by Monarch. They are shown footage of cave paintings depicting Godzilla, Mothra, Ronan, and King Ghidorah. Also a cave painting of King Ghidorah and Godzilla fighting. Enter Godzilla, King of Monsters.